Up Knowledge Digital Lunch and Learn, hosted by the City of Grand Prairie and the Grand Prairie District Chamber of Commerce. My name's Tom. I work for the Chamber in public relations and communications, and we are joined by several other representatives from the City and Chamber. I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca Lee from City of Grand Prairie Economic Development to introduce herself and a little bit about the program that we have going here, and then we will hear from the CEO of the Chamber, Tanya Oliver, and then she'll introduce our special guest speakers. How's that?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tom. Thanks everybody for joining us. For those of you that I don't know, my name is Rebecca Lee. I'm the Economic Development Manager for the City of Grand Prairie. Over the last few months, as things have continued to evolve and change, our team, and in cooperation with the Chamber and our other partners, have really been trying to move as fast as we can in response to the changing situation and try to roll out as many support programs and education tools to help our local businesses. One of the things that has been really clear to us over the last couple of weeks here is that this really is a unique impact to our commercial and our retail restaurants and those frontline businesses as the restrictions continue to change and evolve and the situation evolves. So we're really happy to be partnering with the Chamber of Commerce to help bring this serving it up series of information and hopefully just bring a little bit of education and awareness and try to support our businesses the best we can. We're very excited today because to kick off this series of webinars with Get in the Loop. The city was very happy to support the Chamber in their Get in the Loop initiative through a grant under our economic recovery program, which is a community. Our economic recovery program is guided by our Economic Development Advisory Committee, which is made up of community business leaders who are very supportive of this program and excited to bring just a new opportunity to help our local businesses get in front of their customers and really pivot towards this new and highly digital world that we're living in today. So thanks so much for joining us. We're excited to have you here and excited to hear from our special guests today. So thanks. With that, I'll turn it over to Tanya. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. And thanks everybody for joining us. And anybody who I don't know already, I'm Tanya Oliver, the CEO for the Grand Prairie District Chamber of Commerce. And we are the proud local owners of Get in the Loop. So anybody who isn't familiar with Get in the Loop yet, you need to go download the app. And it is a way for us to help connect local business with local people and really help enable that online connection. And like Rebecca mentioned, we realize now more than ever how important it is to have that digital presence. And our mission with the Chamber of Commerce is to connect business and create opportunities. So this is a new way, a new tool in the toolbox for our local business community to connect with local people. And the local consumers are so much more acutely aware these days of how important it is to shop local. And this is just really giving that opportunity, letting businesses put the offers out there, letting the people find new businesses to support. And yeah, we're really excited for this initiative. And we're really grateful for the partnership with the City of Grand Prairie as well, and excited for our first guests today. So I will turn it over to Jason Mann, the CMO at Get in the Loop, and Chris Pinkerton, the president of Get in the Loop.
Oh, Jay, you're on mute, I think.
Of course. Thanks, Chris. And thanks, Tanya. Thanks, Rebecca and Tom and everybody for being here. Everybody for being here watching live, and everybody who will be watching this down the road here in the short, not too distant future. And as Tanya said, I'm the CMO at Get in the Loop. With me is Chris. This is really Chris's presentation. I'm just here to help make sure traffic happens properly when it comes time to questions. And by all means, there is a chat box feature where you can pose your question at any time along the way, and we'll come to a point in the presentation where we can come back and circle back and address those questions. And towards the end, we'll open things up as well. If you want to jump in live at that point during the Q&A and ask questions, you can do the same as well there. But let's get things moving. This is really a webinar, not so much about Get in the Loop. It's about the need for local businesses to up their technology game. And Chris has put a lot of work into assessing the environment, the marketplace, and we work obviously with a lot of small businesses every day. And this is really the culmination of that work. Chris, prior to joining Get in the Loop, was the head of Mediative Consulting Group, an award-winning digital media and research company, which was actually acquired by Yellow Pages in 2010. And while there and along the way, Chris has worked with digital teams at companies including Google, 3M, Zurich Financial, Avis, Budget Rent-A-Car, Zipcar, New York Times, American Red Cross. So certainly lots of involvement with large companies, and all of which have connections to the digital world. So can't think of anybody better to bring us the topic today. So let me introduce you to Chris Pinkerton, the president of Get in the Loop.
Excellent. Thanks, Jay. And thank you all for attending today. I'm super passionate about this topic. As Jay mentioned, over the last 15 years, I've worked with a lot of large companies that are trying to evolve with the digital consumer. And as part of that, I ran a research company that helped those companies understand the modern consumer and how they can enable behavior on mobile devices and using technology. And as Jay also mentioned, the company that I worked for previously was acquired by Yellow Pages Group in Canada, which in the Canadian market was the dominant solutions provider to SMBs for, I think, 90 plus years. And as they're trying to transition their business, we help them understand the digital audience better as well. So we'll dive into our webinar topic today, which is really about understanding consumer behavior and how businesses need to up their technology game now more than ever. The one thing that the pandemic has done is expedited the need for businesses to engage with consumers that are today on the couch and not necessarily walking by their front door of their business. So we're going to take a closer look today at how mobile technology is used, the impact that has on small businesses and the need for small businesses to adapt to use technology to reach those consumers. Specifically, the impact that the pandemic is having on technology use by consumers and businesses alike, and then how businesses are pivoting and adapting during this time. And ultimately, how to play the long game. What technology is here to stay? What technology can you bet on to move forward with to make sure that you're taking advantage of the best ways to use technology to engage with that modern behavior that consumers are engaging with. So the first thing we're going to dive into is mobile trends. And these are mobile trends that you can't ignore. And take yourself out of your business mindset right now and just think of yourself as a consumer that is looking on your smartphone device. And the behavior that you exhibit today is dynamically different than the behavior that you exhibited 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And a lot of that has to start with how you consume information. Today, traditional media is being disintermediated by a lot of upstarts in the technology space. Local television is being replaced by streaming services, Netflix and Disney Plus and Apple TV. These are all, in most cases, commercial-free streaming content. So you don't really get access to the same sort of advertising or commercial or local content that you used to. Same with radio and newspaper. Radio, your alternatives today are things like Spotify or Pandora or Apple Music. You're streaming commercial-free content, which is also then changing what you are exposed to in a local marketplace. And ultimately, the news that you consume today, local newspaper versus your Twitter feed or your online publisher site that you are used to looking at content with, is dynamically changing the way that consumers are being exposed to local information, especially hyperlocal information. And the one kind of key, I think, consistency across all of this behavioral change is how people are accessing this content. The majority of this content is being accessed on a mobile device today. And in every age demographic across the spectrum, smartphone usage is dominating every aspect of that, from the 12 to 17 age group, which is almost 100% penetration, and 65 over is now, this stat was as of 2019. In 2020, they're well over 60% penetrated in terms of smartphone usage in the country. So as we start to look at how people are consuming content, the device that they're consuming content on, and then the challenge that poses for kind of traditional ways that you would approach a marketplace, what we're going to talk about today is then how you can kind of change your mindset and think about a modern way to engage with the modern consumer. And so Jay, we'll just dive into kind of the next slide, which really talks about that divide of the time spent on traditional versus digital content. And the divide started to happen in 2018. This is when people consumed more digital content than traditional content. And the one thing about 2020 that has exacerbated this, this change is the gap in consumption of digital content has expedited threefold. The projections right now from consulting groups like McKinsey and Bain are saying that it's been a 2 to 3 year advancement in consumers' comfort level with using digital technology to access not only content today, but do different things on their devices. And we're going to show some of those studies in just validating how behavior is changing, and then how can a business owner, or a business in particular, look at this in a different way and through a different lens. And ultimately, you need to look at where people are spending time today. Mobile continues to dominate our attention, and it also presents the biggest opportunity in where a business needs to be. As we go back, almost a decade ago, a desktop device is really where you consumed most of your content. It's where you booked a vacation. It's where you researched content. It's where you read the latest article. And now all of that usage, or majority of that usage, tends to happen on a mobile device today. And this has been exacerbated over the last 10 months in particular. And we're going to show some stats on what change has occurred as people have been at home more, not necessarily out in their office or out doing their traditional kind of on-the-go activities. Has that changed in any way? And we'll dive into that. But one of the things that, as a research company, we always look at is following the advertising dollar is normally the path in which you look at, because that's where the attention of the public is. Advertising dollars will always shift to where people are. And mobile continues to capture new advertising dollars as businesses align to this behavior. And the growth is continuous, but there's a bit of a rub here. A mobile device is 20% the size of a desktop device. And so what that means is there's 80% less space for you to actually engage a consumer on. You have to be a bit more creative in how you reach a consumer. It can't just be a traditional banner ad or big box ad that you could buy traditionally on a desktop website. And so what is occurring now is there's more demand to reach the mobile consumer, which is driving up cost to reach that consumer. And in some cases, it's becoming unsustainable. It's putting pressure on new entrants in the market to solve for some of this need, and also to solve for the need of hyper-local content and hyper-local advertising. As we mentioned off the top, the majority of consumers are streaming commercial-free content, or if there is an ad in that or a commercial in that content, it tends to be national or international brands that are leveraging that ad opportunity. And so as we start to look at the funnel of dollars into the space, we need to look at how we can actually reach our true audience, which in most cases is a hyperlocal audience for most traditional businesses. And so let's look at the intersection of small business and technology and where that is starting to unfold. What we always look at is, what does the local ecosystem look like, and the Canadian ecosystem in particular? And the majority of businesses in Canada are SMB, or small and medium businesses. The largest driver of employment, 71%, is that SMB audience. And 54% of all businesses are less than 5 employees. We actually over-index the SMB group more than the US market in particular. And so 87% of all new jobs are created by SMBs. So it is the bedrock of our economy. So how do we help SMBs think about technology and adapting their business today? And so there's really a few key drivers of the small business marketplace today. One, it's an extremely large market. There's about 1.2 million SMBs in Canada. There's about 60 million English-speaking countries around the world, and there's about 600 million globally. Small business is the bedrock of the global economy, not just the Canadian economy. But there's 3 key drivers of change that's impacting small and medium businesses today. One is changing demographics. By 2025, 3/4 of all small businesses will either be run by or managed by or owned by a millennial, somebody that what we would define as being a digital native, somebody that grew up with technology. Normally, one of the key indicators of whether somebody is comfortable with technology or grew up with it is when something happens on your computer or on your phone that you don't understand, doesn't look right. A digital native will always blame the technology. A digital immigrant or someone that's learned technology will always blame themselves. And so one of the key things about technology is the people who will be influencing business decisions in the near future are people that are comfortable with technology. They will be leveraging technology differently in every single business across the ecosystem. And then the two other key drivers are the technology adoption by consumers. You cannot ignore how consumers are using technology and how their habits are being formed today in how they look for business information and how they look for offers, incentives, and events and things to do and content in general. And then the other key driver is traditional media effectiveness. As traditional media starts to fragment, it starts to pull out of really small markets and just focus on metro markets. That whole dynamic of how you reach a consumer today on the right device at the right moment in time with the right message and facilitating the right type of interaction with that consumer is going to ultimately be the key driver of change in the SMB marketplace. But there's a few other kind of key things that we look at when we look at the SMB marketplace is it's always evergreen. There's always going to be market opportunity, but ultimately with a small and medium business, if you can solve a pain of a small business owner, it's almost like a painkiller. You have to continually keep reinvesting in that and use that in your business. And when we look at what might be some of those pain points in businesses, we also look at how businesses adopt to technology. And I won't read every stat here because they're in front of you, but a couple key things that I'll just call out is a high percentage of small businesses today still don't use a website effectively. The same percentage don't invest in social media very effectively. But something that really stands out to myself when I look at least the Canadian landscape is less than 30% of SMBs today use website analytics or call tracking or coupon codes or any measurability to truly understand what's working and what isn't working in the efforts that they're doing. And 18% of small businesses together admit to not even tracking anything in their business. And so to improve the customer experience and improve how you're going to engage a modern consumer and facilitate potentially buy online, pick up in store, or buy online and support a local business differently than the Amazons of the world, businesses really need to rethink about how they engage and use technology with consumers. But there is a challenge in that. As we look ahead with some of the business challenges that are approaching, what we see is there's some key kind of things that stand out in understanding why a business doesn't adapt to technology fairly quickly. And Jay, if we want to jump to the slide ahead, this was a study done by the SMB group in North America that took a very large sample of small and medium business owners and entrepreneurs and asked them what their top challenges were with using technology in their business. And 41% said it's too difficult to integrate technology into the current systems. 37% said it's hard to figure out the best solution for them. Roughly the same percentage said they don't have the skills to support technology or they don't have time to focus on it. It seems expensive. They're unsure how to execute against it. All of these kind of top challenges are really focused around a lack of knowledge and also a fear of digging into something that potentially will be a distraction to their business, or they can't see the short-term benefit. And it's really hard to then plan for the long-term benefit in a business. And so what I wanted to show now was some key stats that we're seeing in terms of consumer behavior and business behavior that happened during the pandemic, which I think focuses on the need to rethink how a business looks at technology and how can you dip your toe in to start using some key drivers of technology to improve your business and ultimately improve your interaction between that modern consumer and how they interact with your business today. And so a few trends that we saw, and I'm showing the trends that we saw through phase 1 of the pandemic because these are measurable changes. We're actually seeing these again in phase 2 of the pandemic. But there's a bit of a different change in that, which I'll speak to as well. But ultimately what we saw is digital media usage and usage of digital content grew week over week over week as the pandemic started to take hold in Canada. I just showed the first segment here, but this grew 30% week over week for a consistent period over the first kind of 90 days as we got into April and May in phase 1. And it stayed there ever since. Another stat that we look at is mobile versus desktop usage. You would assume that people working at home and being at home more are spending more time searching and being active on their desktop devices versus mobile. But what we actually saw was an increase in mobile activity. And it's not because a mobile device is more user-friendly. It's because you've developed a habit as a consumer that you automatically go to your smartphone device for everything now, whether you're at home or on the go. Whether you're sitting at home on the couch watching Netflix and you want to search up something, it tends to be that smartphone device that you tend to go to. And so the ability to access somebody that's on their smartphone device, whether they're at home or not, is still the primary driver, and mobile continues to dominate our attention. And the other thing that we look at is how is spending change? And most of this is self-evident, I think, in Grand Prairie in particular and other markets that you've seen. But more spending versus less spending, because this is ultimately the key driver, is when did spending change and what categories picked up? Obviously, most things were declining from a spend standpoint, except for digital enabled content. So food delivery and delivery services obviously picked up. Supermarkets picked up, especially online ordering of those, because people had some more time at home. Home improvement and general merchandise elements picked up, but there was a significant increase in purchase online, pick up in store, or buy online, get direct ship, or trying to find ways that you can still use the economy in a way that's safe for you as well. And so this is kind of the divide that we look at of what is the resulting activity that's occurring, but how does a business that's seeing less spending then pick up the pace, and how do they get on the right side of the ledger going forward? And that ultimately is the business challenge that needs to be dealt with, is how does a business do that? Because what we tend to see is brick and mortar businesses were obviously hit the hardest, because brick and mortar by its sheer nature is a lot of service industries, a lot of industries that require, or the ideal customer experience is being able to look and touch and feel an item before you purchase it. But how can a brick and mortar business leverage that position of being in the community and having a brick and mortar business, but still leverage online activity to drive that business as well? And what does that hybrid model look like is really what we analyze during this period and try and help businesses with across the country. And the other very encouraging thing, I think, from our standpoint, is that local means more than, now more than ever, it means something to somebody. I think in the last 15 years, with the advent of technology and the ease of ordering, I think local has kind of got lost in the fray a little bit. But what we noticed is, as the pandemic started to impact the country, local meant a lot to people. How is their community dealing with this? How does their local business network survive this or challenge this? Or how do we support local in a different way? And it was very encouraging to see that local matters more now than ever. So how does that intent of an audience, the importance of local, get paired with the use of technology to really help a business survive this, and not only survive, but thrive coming out the back end of it? And one of the things that we like to look at is some longitudinal studies. This is one by RBC Capital Markets. It asks a bunch of questions to the same group of people yearly. And this is one that I pulled out that I thought was very fascinating. It's, have you purchased online groceries? In March of this year was the first time ever that this group of people said yes versus no, or more of them said yes versus no. The more interesting thing about this is what this has really done is, in the last 60 days, new consumer habits were formed during this time. So it's not about, are you comfortable in ordering online groceries? It's, are you comfortable in navigating product online? Are you comfortable in putting your credit card information in? Are you comfortable in having somebody else pick your fruit and have it delivered to your door, and you're not that person that does that? And so it's breaking a bunch of barriers, and then it's forming a lot of habits of comfort, because if you're comfortable doing this with online grocery, you're comfortable in doing it with other things as well, retail product, etc. But the most important thing is that a high percentage of these people said that they're more likely to order online more frequently because of this kind of barrier that they broke through with grocery purchase. So I think it's just something that shows that the sort of behavior that's happened over the last 10 months is creating habits, and it's also behavior that's here to stay long term. So a business needs to adapt to it. That's just the table stake nowadays. And so how are businesses adapting? These are the things that we're seeing across the country. Our company is in a unique position. We work with about 4,500 small businesses across Canada in every single province. We have about 7,000 offers in our platform on any given day. And this is what a lot of businesses were pivoting to right away. It's, how can you create a conduit for your customers in your market to engage with you differently? So shifting to things like delivery and pickup orders. This was obviously fairly early. It's fairly prevalent now. Changing operating hours to accommodate their community. That's things like seniors hours, for example. Doing buy now, use later promotions, gift cards, etc. How can you generate revenue in the business to sustain a period and then provide the service later? Shifting to online classes and programs versus in location classes and programs. Reaching their customers through email marketing and mobile apps, actually creating an email database potentially for the first time ever. You may have been in business for 15 or 20 years, but don't have any of the information of your customers before in that timeline. How can you engage customers in a different way? We're starting to see a big surgence in that. And also adding new products that can be sold through e-commerce. In some cases, rethinking your business model in particular, are there products that you could maybe add and provide to your known customer base that can increase revenue and increase activity as well? And obviously promoting safe interaction. Those were kind of the trends that we saw in businesses adapting. But ultimately what businesses are trying to do is connect with people that were on the couch and not necessarily walking by a location. And these are just some examples of things that we've seen, from everything like grocery delivery to percentages off for online classes versus in store. Because one of the things to break through consumer habits is the habit of people thinking, I'll use an example with delivery. If you want to support local and you're going to decide to have something delivered to your home on a Friday, and it's dinner in this case, a lot of people go back to their standard habit. They order from the same pizza place or the same Thai food restaurant or the same Japanese restaurant that they tend to order from during normal times. The difference that a business needs to do to break through that clutter today is, how can you get consumers to consider a broader range of businesses during this time? And that potential pub or restaurant that you would have never ordered delivery or takeout from, but you may have supported before a hockey game or after a hockey game in your local community, potentially that is a business that needs to get its message out to you that they are offering delivery, they're offering potentially free delivery or curbside pickup. And it's a way for you to support every business equally, and not necessarily just the businesses that you are used to supporting online or through delivery or through different aspects. And that applies to every use case that you can imagine across the board. And so that's really what the kind of pivot needs to be, or the adaptation needs to be to the thinking of the average business owner in using technology. There's 3 Canadian-based technology companies that I think businesses should check out if they're trying to adapt to technology. One is Shopify, based in Ottawa. They're an e-commerce platform for small business. If you're trying to pivot quickly to offer things like gift cards to be purchased online, or buying products online and picking up in store, Shopify has a really unique e-commerce platform, and they also have an incentive for businesses during this time in the pandemic to get on board. Get in the Loop in particular, obviously we're a bit biased to our own company, but we provide an easy way for you to promote the message of your business and measure the impact of that at a hyper-local level to consumers on their smartphone through the Grand Prairie Chamber. And there's programs to get businesses on in an easy way that's not going to break the bank. And then Hootsuite is a Vancouver-based social media company that's offering some free tools right now for businesses to better manage their social presence and how they can start to communicate to consumers that tend to view most of their social content on their mobile device as well. And so these are just some areas that you can lean into and look for ways that you can start to adapt your business quickly. And so in summary, what I just wanted to kind of follow up on today was mobile usage has proliferated the mainstream. It is a table stake. It's something that you need to lean into, and lean into harder than ever with the consumer habits that have been formed. Forming of habits is something that's very hard to break, and small businesses will be required to adapt to mobile usage now more than ever. COVID, I think, has shone a light on the need for small businesses to better use technology and adapt to technology. But ultimately what it's showing is that there is a different way to communicate with public, and it's not just about the transaction, it's about awareness of your brand, even when the transaction is not occurring. And ultimately, SMBs tend to be the last to adapt to this trend, and they suffer for it. But they can also leverage something that the Amazons and direct-to-consumer brands can't, which is connection to the community, the ability to promote that connection to the community and be ingrained in the community. That's something that Amazon can't compete at. And so these are ways that you can leverage that position, as well as making the online discovery and interaction more seamless for your users that can still drive revenue and create a very powerful business at a hyperlocal level. And so the time is really now to approach these things. And companies like ourselves, and I know the Chamber and the city and others are trying to help businesses find a path to some of these solutions. And we're happy to have discussions with anyone in Grand Prairie as well on how they should approach some of these challenges or some ideas around it. And we can even answer some questions today on any of those topics as well. So Jay, I'll toss it back over to you.
That's great. And so there is a chat group box there. You can send a chat to me, Jason, or to the group, however you wish, or just unmute yourself. We don't have a large group here, but if you wanted to jump in and ask a question about digital trends, about get in the loop, anything really, we're happy to take a call. I know that we often, so I'll start the first question, I guess. We often get asked about how do you start? If you're in the 60% of businesses who don't have an email address or don't have a website yet, what are those first steps to make sure that you're doing the right things?
Yeah, I think the first step from my standpoint is you always want to think in a customer-centric way. So your audience themselves, in today's environment, it's a little bit different, but you need to solve for the challenge that they're not going to be probably in your business location as frequently as they normally do. They're not going to be influenced by people who are also going into your location that are sharing what's in your business. And so how do you communicate differently? I think that's the first step today. And so understanding where your audience is online and whether that is, in some cases, it's not always digital. In some cases, it's direct mail might be a way to still get your voice out there. But the challenge with physical, traditional ways of marketing is it's not measurable. And so I would always lean into groups in the community that already have access to some of the digital community. And think of your community as not just the physical people in it, in its physical environment, but what is the online community that exists in your marketplace? And then who has a voice in that community? So are there large social media followings of some groups? Are there what they call influencers in those areas? Can you leverage business first-minded organizations like chambers and downtown associations and BIAs and other groups that have access to an audience in the digital community that you can participate in? How can you start to dip your toe in these areas and get your message out there in a bit of a different way? But it all needs to be focused on where your customers are and how you can get in front of them. And in some cases, that might require you to actually have a social presence of your own online to be able to curate your own audience, or at least participate with somebody who has a community that's online that you can participate in as well in a different way. And so I think that's the first step, is understanding where your audience is online and then participating in that community. That's really the first step to that. And Jay, I know there's another slide on here that kind of is kind of that next first step of, especially in the Grand Prairie market, is the Grand Prairie Chamber is running the platform in the marketplace. So you have a business first-minded organization with a piece of technology that can help a business better communicate in a marketplace. And so I would reach out to the Grand Prairie Chamber at the email address here, and that team can help you get onboarded onto a platform that is designed to help businesses communicate mobilely, be in a social community that's hyper local, that's digital, and then use technology to communicate to people through push notifications and daily email and other aspects that can get your word out in a very effective and efficient way. And so that's obviously the step that I would endorse first.
And I have just one more. It's sort of a similar question, I guess. How do you choose which social media channel out of all of them?
Yeah, there is lots today, and this has always been a common question. Back when there was only search engines that you needed to work with, and then social came along. Every few months, there's a new social platform that you could engage with, and whether you're on TikTok and Snapchat or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or others, I think the important piece is to not spread yourself too thin. If you're going to engage socially, I would always look first at where your community today tends to have the largest following or audience. And maybe that's on Instagram locally, or maybe that's through Facebook, or maybe that is through Snapchat or TikTok or others. but there is going to be age demographic changes in some of those. So you need to always focus on where is your prime audience that drives your business today and in the future have more prevalence of being. And I think that's what you should narrow in and focus on. And focus on a couple of channels and do it really well versus trying to do every social channel in a mediocre way, because that's not going to drive the outcome that you're looking for. Narrow in and focus on partnering with people who already have an audience through social and community, and then build your own audience. But I would focus on depth, not breadth in social.
Great. Okay, well, we've just been photo bombed here by the 2-year-old. We we have another question here. Healthcare services. How does Get in the Loop see itself benefiting businesses in the healthcare services space, or how do you implement healthcare services in Get in the Loop?
Yeah, so that's a very fascinating question. We originally started out almost 8 years ago, primarily focusing on restaurant and spa and salon and activities and things to do, et cetera. But what we've tended to notice as our business has grown is there's been a lot more interest and request, quite honestly, from service-oriented industries. And whether that is everything from lawn care to financial service space, our members are asking for more of that content now because the things you do every single day, obviously eating and drinking and doing all those things, are things that tend to get used the most. But there's seasonal businesses and businesses that have different benefits to members that are also getting a lot of demand and getting a lot of ask from us. And in the medical space, I know we have dentists on our platform. We have new doctors that are opening offices in our platform that's doing call out for new patients, et cetera. We would be happy to talk through the use case and how you could best engage the member base using the platform in a way that's going to resonate well. We've even had most recently, home sales have gone up dramatically in the last kind of 6 or 8 months. And we've had real estate agents promoting open houses in unique different ways, offering gift cards to local businesses and communities all through our platform. So I think for us, it's about, we've built a framework in an ability to communicate to a mobile consumer. We're happy to brainstorm and think through how you can best use that framework for your business segment or your audience.
We've got a question from Rebecca here. Can you share a good example of a small business that has leveraged Get in the Loop for a successful campaign, and what are the best practices for Get in the Loop specifically?
Yeah, I'll absolutely walk through a use case. I'm not going to share their data because I don't think that's appropriate, but every business on our platform has an analytics dashboard where they can see how many people an offer reached, how many people actually clicked on an offer and engaged with it, and most importantly, how many people actioned an offer, so actually used an offer. And so all of that is in a dashboard that every business gets access to on our platform. And so you'll all see your own performance on a per offer level. But as just an example, we had a business in a market of about 250,000 people that promoted a shop local contest, and they had a gift card. I think it was a $50 gift card that they were giving away. And what they were trying to do is build their own direct email database as well. So they ran a contest to get people to sign up to win a gift card to it was a very hyper-local business. It wasn't a national brand. And as part of that signing up, they wanted to capture their email as well. And I think in a 24-hour period, we had 850 people sign up. If you just think of how in the traditional world you would do that, you would potentially have to have a box at the counter with people filling out paper, ballots of things and putting them in to enter a contest. You would then have to take that and then enter all those email addresses into an Excel spreadsheet and upload them potentially into a CRM system. Just think of the work that it takes to do that. We were able to deploy that in the platform with a push notification to drive people to an offer. They submitted all that information, then we sent it back to the partner. And that is something that was completely measurable and built into the system. So that's just a single example of a use case of doing something like a contest this way that drives an outcome. But we have lots of partners. We rolled out digital punch cards, which is the ability for a single business to create a loyalty program through an offer format. So it could be something as simple as spend $30 5 times and we'll unlock an offer for you. It might be a 2-for-1 or some sort of incentive, or maybe it's a free gift, like a t-shirt or something. That sort of feature has really taken off in our platform because it's the chance for any business to create a loyalty program with just 5 minutes of time. entry into the system. And so we launched that, and within 2 weeks, we had 300 businesses across Canada running a digital punch card or a digital loyalty program. And that continues to grow and grow and grow across the country. But that's just a simple example of that. And then the business can tell, and I know, for example, one of them was, I think it was buy 3 burgers and you get a 4th free. That was one of them with a brand. I think it was in Edmonton, this one. And they had, in the first week of that punch card program, they had, I think, 12 redemptions of the free item. They had like 45 people in the middle of a program that were at a various stage of the punch level. And it gives them something unique to communicate to the public. And you don't have to lead with a heavily discounted offer. You can lead with the loyalty program, and as the benefit of being that loyal member, you get the incentive or the deeper discounted item, and it allows the business to manage margin too in an appropriate way. So that's just a couple of examples.
Another question is coming up with effective offers one of the most challenging parts of businesses, regardless of whether they're a part of Get in the Loop or another platform, but just the idea of coming up with offers?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we, because we work with so many partners now, we have lists of, I'm going to say 25 or 30 best practices in a bunch of different categories of, basically it's the ideation or how a business can think about an offer in their business. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge is how does a business think of an offer? We have lots of partners that, used to have a sandwich board out front. They would change it every day with unique things. And they wouldn't think to take that and turn it into a digital form. Is take that sandwich board that's out front and turn it into an offer that's on the platform. That's just a simple use case of that. But that happens daily in our business with our partners of what's in your sandwich board or what would you normally write on that? That's what an offer should be. And then the other aspect of that is an offer in our world doesn't need to be a discount. An offer can be something that's unique about your business. Back in the good old days, when groups were getting together, it's something like a restaurant or a bar having Seinfeld trivia night or Friends trivia night. That's a very unique thing that a business can promote in the platform. That's not an offer, but it's a unique experience. And what most of our members are looking for is something that's unique, or it's that kind of serendipitous moment when a friend tells you about something that you kind of heard of and you said, oh, that's who does that. That's what you can start to communicate as an offer format. And it can be a value add in your business. It's something that's unique about your business, or it's pivoting messaging really quickly. There's been really neat use cases that, when it's really sunny outside in the summer and you're promoting, patio happy hours, and that's kind of what your messaging is. And then the weather changes for a week and it's thunder, lightning, and raining, you can pivot your messaging in real time. If you built that in a traditional campaign that was already rolled out there and you sent a direct mail piece out about, patio happy hour, and then it rained for a week and a half, that campaign effort was wasted. And so the unique thing with a digital platform is you can change your message in minutes and speak to what's relevant at a moment in time to an audience. So those are just some, I think, single use cases that are worth thinking about.
And Chris, I'll give just a couple more minutes here for any other questions to come in, but I think we've cleared everything so far. So you have a couple minutes here while Chris has the last question I send to him. Can you maybe just describe a little bit about the various digital touch points that Get in the Loop really is? It's not just an app. App is sort of at the center of it, but.
Yeah, exactly. One thing about technology that's challenging is describing what you are sometimes is very hard. So we always start with the app because it's downloadable, it's on your phone, and you can kind of see what businesses are in there. But what we really are is a platform that allows businesses to communicate differently. So yes, your offer is seen in the app, but your offer is also seen other places, and it gets communicated in multiple ways. So one example of that is if your offer is in our platform, there's push notifications. So you'll actually get an alert on your phone that, X business has, just posted X offer, or there's a new punch card available. It's a way to communicate to someone that has the app installed without them having to open the app and explore and discover it. So push notifications, in-app notifications. So when you open the app and you haven't opened it for 3 or 4 days, there'll be in-app notifications that will show you what's new. We also curate the homepage of the app so that we can have business of the week or offer of the week, and we'll constantly change the look and feel of it so that you can not just self-discover offers, but we'll discover them for you in some cases. So there's some aspects. We also have a daily email with all of our members, so we can send out a custom curated email to our members so you can get offers via email and the app as well. And then the final piece is our integration partners. So we actually integrate with third-party websites and apps that would like to be able to show local offers in their own websites and apps as well. With the Grand Prairie Chamber, we have a web widget which shows up on the Chamber site as well. So anyone that has an offer in our platform also automatically gets in real time updated on the Chamber website as well. And then in the broader community, if there's other business-minded groups or other groups that want to help promote local businesses and shop local, they can have a local offers feed as well that easily gets integrated on their website that you can request through the Grand Prairie Chamber, that our team can just provide a line of code that goes on your website, and we can stream a live feed of Grand Prairie offers to your websites as well, or if there's other apps in the community. So those are other ways that at a market by market level, we communicate to members. And then we do that obviously at scale over 95 markets across the country.
Great. Well, it looks like we've answered all of the questions. So before I pass it back over to you, Tanya, just want to say thank you to everybody from the Chamber and from the City of Grand Prairie for making this happen today, and for bringing Get in the Loop to Grand Prairie, and to everybody for participating and joining us.
Yes, thank you so much. We're thrilled to partner with you guys. Thanks for having us today.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Jason. Just a tremendous presentation. And I want to thank yourselves and the whole team at Get the Loop. You've been so patient with us as we bombarded you with questions on behalf of our partners as we try and learn more about it, and our businesses try and learn more about it. And it's just been a tremendous experience. And we encourage other businesses to give it a try, because this is a very professional and very friendly and very knowledgeable team that we're working with. And we are absolutely thrilled to be a part of it. And thank you for having us with the Get the Loop family. And we look forward to a lot of great collaborations down the road. And thank you guys for taking the time today on really short notice to put this together for us, and be willing to have us share it with the rest of the community. And so just thanks very much to the both of you.
Indeed.
This is again, this is the first one of our Serving Up Knowledge digital lunch and learns with the city, and we've been working with the city, well, even before this year happened, but they are tremendous partners for ourselves at the Chamber, and we will try and put together some more of these lunch and learn information sessions. We're looking for ideas from businesses. If there are digital strategies and ideas that you're looking for more information about, let us know, and we will try and find other professionals and other people that can speak to some of the ideas and get some of the questions that you have. We will be offering a third cohort in our digital training sessions through 910 and Community Futures and the Business Resiliency Task Force. So that'll be coming up in the new year. The second cohort will be starting up here in the new year as well. Of course, we've had to do a little bit of tweaking because of some of the restrictions in place right now, but we're hoping that we will be able to put those things together and get them done in the new year. And the first cohort was very well received, and the group has basically become online friends and sharing strategies and sharing ideas, and it's been a lot of fun to watch, and we look forward to putting more businesses through that training in 2021. But for now, I think in respect of everyone's time, we will say thank you for coming. Again, thanks to Chris and Jason from Get in the Loop, and thank you to the city on behalf of the Chamber for partnering with us on this Serving Up Knowledge Lunch and Learn series. It'll be, as people are watching this on the YouTube channel of the cities, once this is over. And if you have any questions, get a hold of us at the Chamber, or get a hold of us, or get a hold of the folks, Rebecca and her economic development team at the city, and we'll be glad to try and answer some of your questions. For now, have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good job.
Thank you.